Hey guys, welcome back. This is Karen doing your next lesson for this parrot by John Audubon. I'm going to be filling this bird in with gouache. Gouache is a thick watercolor. It's the best way to describe it. It's kind of a chalky consistency. It's a really cool medium to paint with. Usually when my students use gouache, they're like, oh my goodness, this is the coolest thing ever. So it is popular with the students. You may not like it. That's the glory of these art boxes, is the fact that you can try out new things. If you like something, you can pursue it further. And if you don't like it, you don't ever have to do it again. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started filling this in. When it comes to painting, I always recommend the background first. There are very rare occasions where I would recommend doing the front first and then the back, because we can do the background and then have feathers tipping on top of the background. So what I want to do is start off with my background, and I'm going to fill it in with my green. Now before you get started, I want you to take a look at how I'm painting. First of all, I'm holding my brush just like a pencil. That is very, very important. It needs to be held like a pencil. If you hold it funny, you're going to mess up the bristles. Another thing, I have a nice clean area to paint in. Another thing, this area is okay if I get paint on it. See, I'm getting paint on my table. It's okay. This is my art table. And also, I am actually wearing old clothing. Actually, it's an apron. That way, if something got on me, it would be okay. So we're going to just fill in the whole background. Make sure that your bristles are going the same direction. Don't go up, down, up, down, because you may not get all the bristles going that direction, and then you'll end up giving it a bad hair day. So up, lift, down, lift, up, lift, down, or down, 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 or up, 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 okay? So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video. I'm going to continue painting the entire background, and we'll get back together in just a second. Okay, so my entire background has been painted, but now I want to add a little bit of dimension, because right now it's kind of solid. So I can do one of two things. I can add a color that is next to the other color, which is green, on the color wheel, or I can add a color that either tints it or shades it, which is black or white. I think to start with, I want to see what it would look like if I added blue with my green. So I'm going to dip in both colors. I have blue and green on my brush at the same time, and I'm going to come up here and start working that in. Blend it, blend it, blend it. I think I like that look. Now you may not. If you don't like it, you can try a different technique, which could be touching a little bit of black with your green. Black and green. Let's see, I'm going to try that down here just in case. Black and green. That's a lot of black in there. So I'm going to, wow, I got a booger. Paint booger. I'm going to really blend that in there. But I want to see some of these brush strokes. So I'm not going to blend it super duper well. Just some. So you decide which you prefer. Practice on a piece of scratch paper before you put it on your good paper, and see what you like. I'm going to meet these by adding a little bit of blue with my black. Look at that. Kind of cool looking. Alright, I'm going to spin them around. I'm going to work on this side. Now why did I do that? Because I'm a righty. It's easier for me to paint on this side. If I paint on this side, I might run my hand through it. So I'm going to do my blue and green at the top. Now, the good thing about this kind of paint is if you don't like it, you can always paint over it. If it doesn't cover well when you paint over it with white. Bring it back to the canvas color. All right, a little bit of black in there. All right, I think I'm good. Now, I need a water source so that I can clean my brush. What you're going to do is stir your brush in your water like you're stirring chocolate milk. Get it nice and clean. And then use a brush or a rag or a napkin to gently clean it off. Don't pinch it and pull because you can pull the bristles out. The next step, let's go ahead and do the eye area, this white. I'm going to start off with just white. Why would I paint white on top of white? Well, because typically white canvas and white paper is dingy. It has a slight discolored look to it. So you want to make sure that you get a nice uniform white, but also because your paint leaves brush strokes, so it's going to look painted. If you left that empty, it would look like you missed a spot, and you don't want that. Now we're going to leave it alone right now because I want it to dry before I put the red in there. Oh, actually, I'm not going to leave it alone. I want to add a touch of yellow. Do you see that yellow in the face area? I want to barely tip my brush with yellow while it's still wet. And I want to come in here. I'm going to add that in there. Now I want to get the rest of this off my brush, and then I'm going to blend it by just taking a dirty brush and dragging it into the wet white paint. See how simple that is? You're just dragging that yellow into that area. There you go. Now we're going to go ahead and start with the feathers on top of the head. I'm going to flip this around so I can have a better angle. I'm not going to clean my brush. It's not really necessary. I'm going to use, I know my palette's really, really messy. I'm going to use some red, and I'm going to touch the black because this area is a little shadowed. I'm going to start by coming in. You want to do little brush strokes about, oh, I don't know, ½ inch long, and have them like literally act like you're making feathers. They go up and out, up, a little bit over the white, and across. Now what I'm doing is well, first of all, I'm just dipping in red now. I'm putting my brush down and lifting as I pull. And that's going to give it that dragged out feather look. You can twist your hand a little bit as you do it, and that will give a slight twist to the feather. Whatever works best for you. Now feathers do take a little bit of practice, so if this time around doesn't look good, next one will look better, I promise. And the next one will look even better. Alright, now it's time to start adding in another color, and I think I'm going to add some orange in with my red. And once you have colored a part, don't go back over it if you can avoid it. Make sure you fill in all of the white. You don't want any white showing. I don't know many parrots that have little white speckles. Alright, so now I think I want to add a little bit of a yellow just in this area here. Notice I didn't clean my brush. I'm just adding color as I go. I'm getting a natural blend just because I have a dirty brush. Nothing special, just keep on dipping into colors and you will get an automatic blend because you have wet on your brush. Alright, I'm going to switch back to a little bit of the orange and the red again because I want to get that dark edge. Keep it coming out. Some solid red. Have those feathers flipping. There you go. And we're almost done. Now what I do want to do is add the red and black down in this area again so that it looks like it's behind the breast. There you go. So there are your feathers. Now we can move on to the breast. Let's start with the red and the black. Come on in here. And start working it out. Same basic moves you did at the head. I did one little layer of red and black. Now I'm switching to just red. I want this breast area to be a little bit darker than the head. So I'm not going to do any orange or yellow in it. I'm going to keep it just red with a little bit of black mixed on my brush. Bring it all around. And we're good. Actually, if you look at our sample, the very bottom is tipped with a touch of yellow. So you can add in a little if you want to. Purely your choice. Now we're going to work on the big feathers here. These are going to start here and they're going to work this way, slightly angled. So if you need to tilt your paper or whatever, get it to where it's the right direction because we're going to go down this way. We're going to start with your bright red at the top. Make it nice and clean dome. And then we're going to work our way down to orange, then yellow, and then we might get a little bit of green in there too. Try and paint neatly. You don't want brush strokes to go in spots that don't have that color. So like I don't want to get red in my beak. So I'm going to take care and precaution when I'm filling this in not to get it in my beak. Alright, so now I have a nice little cross area, not precise. And now I can start shifting to red and orange. Careful around the beak. A bit of red and orange, red and orange. Now I have to be careful because I want to come back and hit this area over here. Remember, fill in your white spaces. And no clumps, no bumps. Make sure you spread out your paint. Now that looks very like it doesn't go. So I'm going to put some red in with it and blend that in so it's not just an orange blob. See how I did that? Now it kind of blends. I'm going to take my dirty brush and dip it in yellow. Keep going. Notice how some red and some orange is coming out of that dirty brush? You want that. That's a blend. Keep it going. Fill it in. Now, I'm a fast painter, plus I'm trying to get this done so that you can see it firsthand being created. Do not feel like you have to paint this fast. This does not have to be a rush job. Take your time. I think I have room for my green, so with my dirty brush, I'm going to put some green in there. Now I am noticing that it's not blending too well with the yellow, so I'm going to touch a little bit of yellow in with my green for this one layer. I'm going to drag upward rather than down. Okay, and now solid green at the very bottom. Clean your brush. Come on up. This white area should be about dry, so I'm going to make my brush nice and pointy. I'm going to dip it in my water. I'm going to come in and I'm going to make some squiggles that go around the eye without pushing down on the bristles. Almost like snakes. Nice and thin. This takes a little bit of practice. So do it a few times on some paper, scratch paper. Okay, I think I like that. I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to do a similar move with my black for the eye. I'm not going to encircle the entire thing. I'm only going to do about a third or 2/3. And now I'm going to fill in this little middle. You can add a little bit of scuff right there so it looks rounded. I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to take white, come up to the top of the beak, and start filling it in. White. While it's still wet, take some yellow. Start dragging it in there. Go almost to the top of the white, not quite. Keep dragging it, keep dragging it. Bring it on down. Now I'm going to take a touch of black. I'm going to come into this bottom area and start dragging it up. Oh, I need a little bit of yellow on my brush. To my yellow. I don't want to overwhelm with black. So if you need to wipe off your brush, get some of that black off, you can. And add more yellow if it's just a little too shadowed. It's your call. What you think looks good, go with it. Finally, we have the black under area. There's actually kind of like a backwards C under here. Get most of that off of your brush now. So let's clean off my brush. And with it nothing on my brush, I'm going to drag my white, or my black into my white. That is a really good looking parrot. It's not a very difficult thing. It does take practice. Yes, it does. Not gonna lie. But it's worth it. These blends, which are only created simply by adding 2 paint colors on the same brush, really make a professional looking picture. If you want to put it onto a canvas, you can. You're going to do it exactly the same way. So I appreciate you joining me for the Audubon lesson. I had a really good time painting this. This is totally frame worthy. To finish it off, you do need to sign your art and call it done. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.